Hokuriku Proxy War is a 1977 Yakuza movie directed by Kinji Fukasaku. So this was his final Yakuza movie. So after that, like, he made movies almost all the way till 2002, I think. But after this, he didn't make any more Yakuza movies. Like, I think he made Yakuza movies for almost like a decade, like all the way from like the late 60s to the late 70s. And like then I think he was like, okay, I'm done. I'm not making any more Yakuza movies. But he went out on a high note, I'll say that. Like, this is an excellent Yakuza movie if you want to watch one. Alright, so the movie stars Hiroki Matsukata, who plays Kawada, who is the second in command of this small gang. And his wife is played by Yumiko Nagawa. She plays Kiku. And you also get Sanichiba, who is like a boss of a rival gang. Alright, so to start off with the plot, because it has an incredible opening, right? Like, so the movie takes place in like the Hokiruki region, which is like a northern part of Japan from what I can see on the map, and it gets a lot of snowfall. And the movie is shot in like peak winter. So the opening is like Kawada has just come out of prison, and he was in prison for, I believe, for murder. He killed someone, and then he because his boss told him to kill someone, and the boss promised like, okay, once you get out, I'll give you the security for the speedboat races, because like the main earning that happens in that area is from the security of the speedboat races. But once he's gotten out, his boss has changed his mind. So when the movie opens, he has taken his boss and buried him neck deep in snow, and he is driving his jeep around him. So it's this really sort of crazy opening where he's like forcing the boss, like, you know, you're going to hand over like the business to me. So the boss sort of like very reluctantly agrees. And at the same time, you have a couple of these larger Yakuza gangs from like Tokyo and Osaka who are trying to get into the Hokiroki region. And because Kawada has now sort of royally pissed off his boss sort of tricks him into a meeting and then tries to kill him. And so the rest of the movie, and he gets like pretty badly injured. So the rest of the movie is him, you know, getting well and getting back into the game and sort of like trying to recapture the area that he thinks belongs to him. And also trying to outwit the two larger gangs who have sort of, you know, who also have eyes on the Hokiroki region. So I don't really have any negatives for this movie because across the board, like, it's genuinely good. Like, the first 20 minutes is excellent. Like, it moves at like this breakneck pace. Like, if you've seen a Kinji Fukasaku Yakuza movie, he moves fast. You know, like, especially like the first 20-30 minutes, he'll move like really fast. You get like a lot of like narration that happens in the beginning. They'll introduce a lot of different characters, and you'll get a lot of crazy action happening. So the first 20 minutes is fantastic. Till the point he gets attacked is great. So the other thing that stands out with this movie is that it actually has a strong female character. So with most Yakuza movies, you generally either there will be no female character, or if there is one, it's usually like a girlfriend or a wife who doesn't really have much to do. In this case, I forgot the name. His wife is played by Yumiko Nagawa, and she does a great job because so when Kawada ends up going to prison, so she's the one who's left behind, and she has to go to all the bosses and, you know, try to beg for his life, but at the same time she also has to end up sleeping with them. And then she also goes like, okay, if I'm sleeping with them, might as well get something out of it. So she gets them to invest in her bar and pub and like all of those things. So she wants to make a place for herself.
けどそのことで困ってるんです。金井組の福井の支部長から川田が出所したら見つけ次第殺せっちゅう指令が出てるんです。到底川田は助かりません。親分のお力でなんとか助けていただけませんでしょうか。
そらま金井ぐらいはあたいの力でどうでもなりまっけどな。
But she also wants to protect her husband, and she does a fantastic job. So it's pretty rare to have like a fairly strong, like independent character. Like even in the end, she just walks off on her own. Like her husband is like, you want to come with me? He's like, yeah, screw off, and she just walks away into the snow, which is a great shot. So yeah, so like great female character. The other thing is, it is funnier than you would expect. Okay? Like one of the things about Kinji Fukasaku's Yakuza movies is that, especially like post the Battles Without Honor series, Battles Without Honor and Humanity series that he did, is he doesn't make the Yakuza very sort of honorable or anything like that. Like they're all varying degrees of backstabbers. So anybody and everybody will try to kill each other, and they're only interested in money and power. So he kind of has this baseline of like these are not good people. So this is not the Godfather or anything like that, where he's okay. Like some of them are honorable. Like they will be honorable to an extent, but it's all a like it's a gradation basically. Like because the boss is generally a complete bastard who will just stab anyone in the back and is also like a sniveling coward.
実はゆうべ福井の綿の店が荒らされましてな。あんさんなんぞ心当たりおめんか。
いえ心当たり言うても
まあ一応は金井の残党の仕業になっとるけど、わたいはあんたが糸引いとると睨んだがどない。
岡田さん、わしはね、あれは信が勝手に仕掛けたことなんで。
So in comparison to that, Kawada is slightly better, but Kawada is also, just going to kill anyone who gets in his way or use whoever he wants. So from that standpoint, he also manages to make the characters, like funnier than you would expect. So his immediate boss is played by Ko Nishimura, and he has a secondary boss later on who is played by Tatsuo Endo. So they both are genuinely sort of funny characters, especially like in the beginning, it's Ko Nishimura who gets buried in the snow, and then so that stuff is hilarious. Like when later on when he sort of gets out. And then Tatsuo Endo is like the boss who Ko Nishimura sort of hands over his business to Tatsuo Endo's character. And he's also like a coward. But he also has eyes on Kawada's wife, like on Kiku. So he's constantly trying to like beg her, like, be with me, your husband is not there.
Mama.
いやお前もな、ええ加減うち来てくれんか。わしはな、一家を張ってから男状態で不自由しとるんや。
親しわてなんかやのうても、ええ人はぎょうさんおるでしょうが。
お前でないといかんの。
So all of that stuff is actually pretty hilarious and done quite well. They both are like excellent character actors. Like Ko Nishimura was in The Bad Sleep Well. I think he was also in High and Low. So he's quite famous. Tatsuo Endo was in, like, he's done quite a few movies. Like, I recognize him, but I haven't seen the movies that he's been. He's done a few movies with Ozu. So they both are like pretty established characters. And then you also get Sunny Chiba, who plays a boss of one of the Yakuza gangs that has come from outside, and he's like over the top. Like he's got like this fur coat and he wears like sunglasses all the time.
万太によ川田の野郎が安浦さんばらす言うて息巻いてるせやな。
いやどうもご心配おかけして申し訳ございません。
Like going over the top is like most characters in this movie are over the top, but that sort of works for this movie, or actually it works for a lot of Japanese movies. Like Japanese acting in general can go, you know, like over the top, but then it works in the context of what they're trying to do. The final thing I like about the movie is the camera work. Now, the cinematography is decent, but the one thing I liked is the way Kinji Fukasaku shoots the conversation scenes. So there's this wonderful YouTube channel called Every Frame is a Painting, and where he sort of breaks down different directors and, you know, their cinematic techniques and all of that stuff. So he talks about Akira Kurosawa once, and in that he talks about how Kurosawa used to shoot reaction shots. So where like the idea is like, okay, instead of having like one person react to another person, why don't you have like 3 people react to one person, or why don't you have like 20 people react to one person? And so Kinji Fukasaku sort of takes the same idea. So in this movie, like whenever you have conversations, they all sort of crowd in, right? So it's usually like, let's say like Kawada is talking to like Sanichiba's character, or, you know, like any of the characters, like 2 main bosses are talking to each other. You'll always have like a gang around them in this enclosed space, but they'll all kind of lean in. You know, so no one's going to like, it's going to like, is one guy standing in the back and he's just sort of chilling. It won't be like that. Like everyone will sort of lean in. So it makes everything seem very important. So like even when there's a phone call, like everyone just sort of crowds onto the phone. So that stuff really stands out, you know, like because generally when you get like crowd scenes or you're like 5-6 people, they'll all like, you know, be very cool and sort of stand in different corners and like, you know, hang out in the back. This is everyone sort of leans in, but also has like very sort of over the top expressions on their faces. So it feels cartoonish, but it also makes like, you know, it also sort of like heightens the overall, you know, emotion level of the scene. So it works very nicely. So that's something like, I think if you watch any of his other movies also, like any of his other Yakuza movies, you will kind of notice that stuff happening. So yeah, overall, fantastic movie. Like you can find it on Internet Archive. If you are interested in like a Yakuza movie, that, you know, just a fun Yakuza movie, this is a great movie to watch.